Good evening and welcome to Man Talk here on KTN Home. I am joined by three dapper gentlemen today and I'm very excited to get into the conversation. We are shooting at Rejection Tavern just off Gong Road. They've given us a great space, wonderful location. If you're looking for a great opportunity to have lunch with your family over the weekend or to host a nice event, following all of the MOH guidelines, of course, Rejection Tavern is definitely a place that you should come and check out. But let us get into today's conversation and let me introduce the gentleman that I'm going to be learning from today. We're going to be discussing marriage, but looking at the things that you should discuss with your partner before you get there. When you're courting, you're stage dating, what exactly are the conversations you should have as a man to make sure that you are making the right decision? Now, let me start off with Alan Lawrence right next to me. He is no stranger to the show. You've been on the show before. He's a life coach, he's an event MC, and within all that time, he also found time to write books because he's also an author. Welcome back to the show, man.
Thank you so much.
You're looking sharp. I need to know where you get these suits from. I'm trying to dress like Lawrence. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much.
Very excited to have you here. Thank you, thank you. Considering the conditions we've started this episode under, thank you. The other gentleman that I'm very excited to introduce is Emmanuel Gwambo.
Hi.
First time that you're joining us here on Man Talk.
Glad to be here.
Thank you so much for coming through.
Sure.
Now you're a brand consultant.
Yes, I am.
Utangalia brand yetu tuambie kama ina line ama.
Definitely. Even the brand called marriage, you need to really
Exactly. Oh my gosh, I love it.
and see how it goes.
People, maybe that's how we should look at marriage as like an individual brand. It's representing two different people in every situation.
So you have to understand the personalities and how to put it in context. That's how it goes.
Nice.
Glad to be here.
Thank you for coming through.
Anytime.
And then we have the man that is going to set the rest of us straight in case we go astray, because he is a counseling psychologist, and that is Isaac Maweo, also no stranger to the show. Welcome back.
Thank you so much.
Glad
Nice
to have you
see
here.
And a great opportunity to keep people on the right track.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
Now, we'll start off with you actually, because you work with families, you work with individuals as well when it
Yes.
comes to counseling and psychology. Are there key step-by-step things you would tell a young man today? If you have not discussed this and this with this girlfriend, hakuna mahali munaenda.
Of course, these are the things that we need to look at today.
Yeah.
Because there's no way you can just jump into marriage. You can't do that.
Right.
If we prepare ourselves to go to school, and
Yes.
we prepare our kids to go to school,
Yes.
getting the fee structure, getting the uniforms,
True.
and get the admission letters, all these are procedures before the kid gets to school.
Uh-huh.
What about marriage, which is a lifetime contract?
It's true.
And looking at the current rate of situations, people are just jumping into relationships, and all of a sudden, before you know that person, you're into marriage.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, after 1 month, few months down the line, they have divorced
Yeah.
because they did not do proper preparation.
Right.
This is one of the key things that I tell people in life,
Mhm.
in business,
Mhm.
in anything that you do. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. 5
I
P's.
like that.
Proper preparation prevents poor performance. How well you prepare for your marriage determines how well
Determines.
you will live.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. For all the young people, you know, there have been so many COVID weddings. So I'm like, I hope you guys have been listening. I hope you're paying attention. Why do you think it is, let me ask you, Lawrence.
Yeah.
Why do you think it is that young Kenyans are jumping into these marriages? Why do you think people are not taking it seriously? And we have a lot of us who were raised by single parents, so we know what it would be like. We have those of us who are raised with parents who are together, and we know what that would be like. So why is it that young people are allowing themselves to just get married helter-skelter? Yeah.
You know, Susie, today we are hearing people getting into marriages because aliambiwa rudi penye ulala jana. Understand? So the thing is, there is also societal pressure.
Right.
People are not even preparing themselves for marriage. People are preparing themselves for weddings. And especially there is a lot of pressure coming from the girl child. To a
Right.
point, because girls have this fantasy all along. Even you look at the games they play when they are still young.
Yeah.
all along they envision about marriage and everything. So once they get into contact with a guy, you'll realize that this girl will be pushing them that, you know what, why can't we get married and have a wedding, so that for the likes on Instagram
And all of that.
yeah. So people are busy planning for the wedding but not the marriage.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
And
think
still
you-
on that,
Yeah?
there's something that Lawrence is bringing in very important. A girl says that we've been dating for long.
Yes.
You're joking with me. As a sign of commitment, we need to marry.
You should show
Yeah.
me that you're serious.
The girl child pushes the man to get
Get
married.
married.
And this man is still trying to figure out a few things here and there. And before, without proper planning, the man jumps into it
Right.
as a commitment and response to what the girl is saying.
Yeah.
But let's hear what.
I want to ask you something, Emmanuel. I've always heard that when a man wants to marry a lady, he knows. He usually knows. When he's dating numerous ones, when he meets the one he wants to marry, he knows almost immediately. But these same men are the ones that we're now talking about, can easily be pressured by the person that they're dating, by her family also, to get married. So my question is it we have failed the way we have raised boys because they're not able to say no, or they're not able to say, I will get married when I'm good and ready? Why is it that men can't fight this pressure coming from women?
I think one thing we have to understand is the premise of it all. Because you're very right. If you look at society as it is,
Yeah.
to put things in context, we've had a lot of women empowerment, but there's never been a movement of men empowerment.
Right.
So men naturally...
Except the whole world.
Exactly. Even in the whole world, if you look at it keenly, we are thrown into the world and we're expected to learn
Just
how to fly.
know,
You
yeah,
get?
yeah.
And it becomes very hard because now you fall into pressure because first things first, you yourself don't understand yourself as a man. What is my role? What is my responsibility? What am I bringing into this relationship? How should I handle a woman in all her different ways?
Right.
So once you get to that point where you're actually inside that relationship, now you start to figure it out. So you find that's a very wrong approach to take, because if, as he said, if you're not prepared, if you're not planned, then definitely you'll have poor performance.
Right.
So we really need to get into a place in society where we are teaching our men what is marriage, what does it entail to raise a family,
Yeah.
what responsibility should I play.
Right.
And once you have understood that, then and only then can we say you're ready for marriage.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just that simple, preparation.
Yeah, because that person will be able to stand their ground, like you said. If we really know ourselves, it's a lot easier. Now, there is a very sad story some few weeks back. I don't know, you guys must have read about it. There was a couple in Kiambu, a mature couple, business people. They'd been together for quite a number of years. Then the lady gets pregnant, and they've been wanting a child for a really, really long time. But it turns out that her husband, her partner, was infertile. He couldn't have children. So when he discovered that she was pregnant, it was clear and obvious to him that, of course, she had stepped outside of the marriage. She had cheated.
True.
So what now came out of the story was they had a huge fight, and he has killed her and killed himself. And we have lost two amazing Kenyans just like that, right? Two contributing members of society just like that. And they had been together for such a long time. When you read the articles, witness statements from their friends, these were a fun couple, they were a growing couple, like they had nothing else but to look forward to life. And I just want to understand, how is it that in this wonderful courtship and in marriage, they had never had that conversation? The man never felt comfortable enough to be able to tell her, hey, by the way, I found out about myself that physically for me to have my own children is not going to be something that's possible. And these conversations are missing. You know what Isaac was talking about. A lot of people are divorcing. You find out you're not discussing money issues. You're not discussing. But when it comes to physical, when it comes to family, is it particularly difficult for a man to admit? Is there a guide you guys can give women of how should you ask these questions when you're dating? Unatakikana kumuuliza aje ndio ujue.
You know, the main problem with that couple,
Yeah.
according to me, one, there was no openness.
Right.
Just going by the story that we read, there was no openness. If indeed this man had a challenge of infertility, was he open to this lady? Number two, how did they solve that problem if at all they were open?
Right.
And say, we cannot be able to sire a child. What can we do?
Yeah.
We've tried all the methods possible. We have seen gynecologists and all specialists
Yeah.
to try to work on these things, and it cannot work. So can we adopt a child? So for that period, it's about 10 years.
Yeah.
For about 10 years, they could not solve that problem.
Right.
True.
Why? Because they lack the skills. They lack the empowerment that is needed. And they don't take action to seek solution. You know, one of the most challenging aspects in men is to be vulnerable enough to say, I have a problem,
True.
I need help.
Right.
Being vulnerable enough to say, I have a problem, I need help. Because if it's true, you are not able to sire a child.
Yeah.
It's not a crime.
No, there's solutions, there's
It's not a
options
crime.
these
There's a
days.
solution to it.
Openness.
Just be open and say, I have a challenge, I need help. And out of that, that person will be helped. If it's a couple, they will be helped. But unfortunately, one of the greatest fears, I'm just trying to think, is that you feel like when you are open, your partner will say, no, I cannot get married to you.
Right.
We cannot continue dating and all that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So you feel, let me continue to lie, to pretend that all is well. Yet, it's not well. There's a lot of even pressure from the society. If it is the lady, labda anaulizwa na watu wa kwao.
Mtoto ako wapi?
Wapi mtoto?
Yeah.
1
Yeah.
year, 2
Yeah.
years, 3 years.
Yeah.
And also possibly, people could be blaming the wife.
Yeah.
You know, in African setup, men are never having a challenge.
It's
when
not
comes to
the men who have the
It's
problem,
never
it's
a
true.
problem with them. Yet in reality, it could be them.
Yeah.
So that is key.
Yeah. It's vulnerability, men willing to be vulnerable. And I guess it's also a measure of how serious you are going into the marriage. If you are really planning on being with somebody for very, very, very many years, you're both going to have challenges. You're both going to have problems.
Agree.
You're both going to face obstacles. Both your families will have things going on. So if you can't be open about it, it's probably a really good test to know whether you should marry somebody. Kama huwezi kuambia huyu mtu ukweli ya mambo venye iko, then you're probably not ready to take that long-term step with them. But particularly when it comes to talking, or rather, as you said, to be vulnerable,
Yes.
how then do we get men to be vulnerable as women?
I think we need to look at it from a two-way traffic point,
Okay.
look point, yeah? As men, naturally, our egos don't let us, as you said, become vulnerable. That's just, it's normal. Forget about what society adds onto that. Now, we also have to put it from a female perspective, because there's something you said right before we got into this side of the conversation. How do we get women to ask these questions?
Yeah.
You get? Because if a man won't talk, then we have to make women understand that you have to ask certain questions to be able to get certain clarities.
Right.
And with that clarity, then you can move forward.
Yeah.
Because vagueness comes from both sides. We understand that's our natural nature. Very few men will be very open to talk about themselves.
Right.
But the few who are, kudos to them. What about the many who can't? You get? It has to be a flip side. So it's not only from a man point of view, I'm quiet, I don't want to talk about it. How can you now as a woman learn how to bring out that information from me, make me
Right.
comfortable enough to be
Yeah.
able to speak to you and tell you my vulnerabilities, tell you what I'm going through, tell you the kind of problems I have. Because if we're relating, then we must relate in all ways.
Yeah.
So let's really come to understand that both parties have to have that ability
Right.
to be able to talk.
Right.
You get? And if that happens, I think it will be very, very much easier for men to open up, and it will be very, very much easier for equally for women to be confident when I'm sitting with my husband. I'm not afraid to speak about
Yeah.
certain topics.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
So I like what you've said about put the man in a setting or create an environment in which he'll feel comfortable enough to be able to want to share for you.
True.
Now, women should take men out on dates, I'm thinking, is what I'm hearing here. Tell your boyfriend, hi babe, next week there's something I'd want us to do. I'll take you out, bill is on me. Is that what we should do? Is that the right step?
You know,
That's one way.
Or should you prepare him in advance? Because I feel like sometimes some people, you know, as women, we usually come and then we say, Lawrence, we need to talk. Nikisema hivyo, hey.
Create, I think
Food
create,
haishi,
create,
3 weeks
exactly.
atakuwa busy akitafuta makazi zingine huko nje and not.
Exactly. And because we understand that we don't like that we need to talk, then we need to change the setting. It's just about setting the right environment. If it's going out on a date, fine. If
Yeah.
it's in the house, fine.
Right.
And all this can only be achieved depending on how you started.
Yeah.
Preparation. If you don't prepare well, getting into that relationship during the courtship stage,
Yeah.
you'll find a lot of flaws inside the relationship. Because the moment I understand how to treat her and I know her setting and the context in which she opens up, it will be easy for her to talk.
True.
And the moment
True.
you understand how he
Yeah.
talks, what is his language of communication, what is his love language, what does he like, what doesn't he like, at which point is he comfortable, is he an
Yeah.
outside person, is he an indoor person,
Right.
put him in the setting where he's comfortable, he will talk or she will
Let
talk.
me ask a question
True.
to you. You are pushing the blame kind of to the ladies, saying they should create an environment, they should do this. What is your responsibility? If you have a challenge, why don't you say, babe, I want us to have a chat? Just like they say, I want us to talk. Why
Right.
don't you also say, I want us to talk? And out of that, say, I have a challenge that I want us to talk. So that tomorrow, when you see my backside and find that I have a spot, you don't say, you didn't tell me about this spot. You can be able to open up and say, I have this challenge. Could it be fear of rejection? Lawrence, you feel like if you speak up, you
Yeah.
feel like somebody will look at you as you're not fit enough, you have this challenge, you have this weakness. Why don't you be the one to initiate?
Right.
You know, first of all, for the couple, I believe, and I've always said this, that no relationship is worth you killing yourself or killing the other partner for.
Yeah.
If there is anything, you guys, you need to talk. And the challenge comes in, people have decided, as much as keep your relationship private, but do not make it a secret. Anything, because remember, this is a commitment. These are two souls coming up together to make something work. So if we are working as a union, it means that I need to be vulnerable to this person and this person needs to be vulnerable to me. Now on the side of men measure their vulnerability because to some extent, men do not understand the language of love. We understand the language of respect. In this space, I'll be able to open up if this person is going to respect me, if this person is going to be my safe hub. True. So to some point, if you look at this couple, we might be blaming the man or we might be blaming the lady. But the question is, was this man safe enough to open up, you know? And maybe the fear of this person was looking at the environment of the lady. Who are the people surrounding the lady? If I open up, you know, maybe I have a reputation to keep. I have a name to keep. This person will go out there and try to open up. So we can always try and look at it from that perspective. And, you know, the most important thing in the relationship is that aspect of being open and being vulnerable to each other. But considering, is this person my safest hub? Is this person my safest space? So for men, I believe the conversation can only begin if the environment is so much safe and you won't judge me. So maybe this guy was trying to wait and weigh the situation so that he can open up.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, for 10 years. You
Yeah.
waited a long
Very
time.
good. 10 years waiting.
10 years is
What are
10
you
years
doing?
is
First
quite
year, second year,
long.
third year?
Two prudential terms, eh? So the thing is...
Yeah, literally. What I'm wondering is, unfortunately, if it had never happened, is would she have ever found out? Would he eventually have spoken up? Because they were quite comfortable for the 10 years. And I think it's also that thing of everyone in relationships needs to wake up to the reality that a secret will always come out. Even though it takes how long, itajichumbua tu. Like, that's just how the world works. And that's how it works, especially if you're very close with somebody. If you are dating somebody or you're married to them for a very long time, it's almost impossible to keep a secret. People do keep them successfully, but after several years, bado tu itatoka. Now, we've talked about one aspect particularly, which was what he kept secret, which was a health issue, right? It was a reproductive issue. They didn't have another one that we knew of. But what about family? Because I find it very interesting, as we've been talking about, you know, recent marriages, COVID marriages, how young people are interacting and getting married. How should a young couple in Kenya dating today who are planning to get married discuss family? Because if you and I are getting married, let me use you as an example. I've been using Lawrence, you're close. As an example, it's two households coming together.
Yes.
Sometimes it's two different communities coming together. The beliefs in those two different communities are different. Their cultures, their customs, the weather, even where you come from is completely different. And it affects marriages going forward. You'll always have to take both families into consideration.
Yeah.
And we're seeing a lot of young couples have conflict. Mother-in-law anaingia anafanya vitu hivi, father-in-law anakataa vitu kunaenda hivi. So how would you advise a young couple to talk about their families?
Personally, I've cancelled a number of them, and one thing that has stood out is that marry considering your family, but do not marry for the family.
Okay, so you consider them.
Consider them,
Okay.
but not for them, because after all the glamour, after everything, it is the two of you who will remain in
True.
this setup. So as much as you are putting them, like we are trying to look at the family lineage and everything, we just need to know that it is the two of us.
Right.
The world can come and go, and everything can come and go, but it is only the two of us. And if we are going to discuss about family, it means that this needs to be even a cementing factor into this relationship, but not to put us apart. And you realize most of the people in relationships and marriages, the moment they try to like involve the family to a larger perspective and to larger percentage, you realize that they end up breaking. It does not end up well, because the lady is getting advisory, the man is getting advisory. So they try, and so much they push, because what the family does, in most cases, they try and compare you. I want your marriage to look like Isaac. I want your marriage to look like Susie. So you end up feeling bitter in this relationship, because you're trying to keep up and trying to fit in. So try so much to keep family aside, and as much as you have to look at the family history and all those things, but family needs to be like, yes, I've understood Susie, you're from this family, and this needs even to bring us more close.
It's a support system. It's not supposed to be the make it or break it.
Yeah.
Okay, Isaac, you also look like you...
You know, third parties, family form part of the third parties in the family. And they are very integral, they are very important, they are very sometimes intrusive and disturbing.
Yeah.
So if you don't discuss it well and put proper grounds on how to manage and connect well, it will continue to bother you the rest of your life.
Sure.
Right.
Number two, human beings don't start living when they marry and they are dating.
Yeah.
They have been having lives that have been shaped by these families.
True.
I've helped a couple from different races, an African and someone from Netherlands. And these people are different in so many things.
Right.
Their upbringing, their mindset, their exposure, their lifestyle, totally different. So when you come in with that differences, how your people look at things is different. So the earlier you talk about things, very important. In premarital counseling, one of the very important aspects that we miss, especially in Africa and in Kenya, we don't invest much in that. Which is very important, is that aspect of the family. How shall we connect with our family? What limits? What are the boundaries? How can we add value to each other through our different backgrounds and families?
Do you actually advise, I've just heard you use the word boundaries, and I found that so interesting. Do you think a couple should have boundaries of how they interact with other family members?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
The context
This is
of
the
marriage,
exact...
yes.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. In the context of marriage, yes.
Yeah.
Because what he said, it's a union. And
Yes.
a union of two people.
Right.
And what he said is equally important. The family is integral. And
Yeah.
it has been part of your upbringing way before I
The
met
whole
her.
time.
Yeah. So you really have to discuss that element, ensure how intrusive is intrusive, how non-intrusive are they.
Yeah.
Because you see, it will be very awkward. I'm in my house, I wake up in the morning, my relatives are at my door.
Yeah.
Unannounced.
Yes.
You
And
get
it,
what
in
I'm trying to
Kenya
say?
it happens.
It happens a lot. And it's not that I don't like my family or I
No.
don't want my relatives, but it's rather I also want to have some alone time with my partner.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
it's your
this
home
is
also.
Our home. So,
Yeah.
you know, I don't just wake up today and decide I'm going to visit so and so. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So boundaries are very important from a family point of view, because it will help you understand how to relate with family and avoid those situations of you don't like my family, you're treating my family this way.
Yes.
Put
Those
it in the
conversations.
context, discuss it so that you can have well laid out structures.
Wow.
You need boundaries.
I'm going to be asking more about that after we take a short break. We are discussing courtship and the conversations you should have before you decide to marry somebody. Keep it here on Man Talk. Stay here on KTN Home. We'll see you right after the break.